Sawadee-krap. Welcome to the Network for the Development of Agricultural Cooperatives in Asia and the Pacific. NEDAC was started in 1991 by UNFAO, ICA, UNILO on the recommendations of 1990 ICA Regional Conference of Cooperative Ministers. Memberships of NEDAC can be from Asia, the Pacific, and its wider associated regions. NEDAC members can be from anywhere in the world. While regions activities on NEDAC include trainings, seminars, workshops, study, research for the promotions of agriculture and allied sector cooperatives. NEDAC Training Center encountering different classroom and online programs. NEDAC website is www.nedac.info. Please visit, subscribe, and like our official NEDAC YouTube channel. Thank you. Sawadee-krap. I'm Joy Min Ting. I'm a consultant in Network for the Development of Agricultural Cooperatives in Asia and the Pacific. Welcome to NEDAC's video. I present special videos on General Assembly Session 2018 of NEDAC held in New Delhi, India. Our website is www.nedac.info. You can enjoy the videos on NEDAC official YouTube channel or on Facebook NEDACHO. Best wishes.
Mr. Chairman, I guess it has become my role. During the opening program, I also did this. And I am much privileged to propose the vote of thanks. Mr. Chairman, it has been a very amazing, wonderful, and fruitful General Assembly, a convergence that has redefined NEDAC, and that you have given us a very effective leadership, especially in presiding the meeting, defining the parameters of engagement, and defining where we want to go. And I do believe with that, Mr. Chairman, I can aptly say, and I believe that I share also the feeling of my colleagues in NEDAC. And so, Mr. Chairman, if I may, in behalf of the General Assembly, my dear colleagues in NEDAC, I would like to express our utmost gratitude to NCDC and to your leadership for a very effective and wonderful and amazing meeting that you have presided over the past 2 days. To that, we salute NEDAC, and I'd like to move, and this will be in the form of resolution, that we have to formally thank NCDC and of course our very own chairperson who has given us an inspiring leadership. And I do believe that with this leadership, this will carry NEDAC to greater heights, to scale the heights, to make life better for the people here in Asia Pacific. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, friends. We have now come to the formal closing of the meeting of the new executive committee. And
We welcome all the esteemed members of General Assembly NEDAC, delegates and guests for the closing ceremony of General Assembly Session 2018 of NEDAC. On this occasion, we have with us Shri Dilip Sanghani ji, Chairman, National Federation of Cooperative, State Cooperative Banks, Chairman, Gujarat State Cooperative Marketing Federation Limited, and former Minister of Agriculture, Cooperation, Law and Justice of Gujarat, and ex-member of Parliament, Lok Sabha, as chief guest for this function. And also we have the privilege of having with us Shri B. Pradhan, Additional Secretary and Financial Advisor, Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperation, Government of India. We extend a very warm welcome to Shri Sanghani ji and Shri Pradhan ji. I would request our Managing Director, Shri Sandeep Kumar Nayak, and Chairman NEDAC to kindly welcome and felicitate Shri Sanghani ji by presenting a shawl. I would again request our Managing Director to kindly welcome Shri B. Pradhan ji by presenting a memento, a shawl in token of our respect to him. Sir, NEDAC, the Network for Development of Agricultural Cooperatives in Asia and the Pacific, promoted by UNFAO, the International Cooperative Alliance, and the ILO, has been engaged since 1991 in sensitizing the governments on the role of agricultural cooperatives and promoting agriculture and rural development to ensure rural food and livelihood security for millions of people in Asia and the Pacific. The General Assembly of NEDAC comprises of 22 prominent organizations of 8 countries of Asia and the Pacific. The General Assembly session being concluded today was inaugurated by Shri Purushottam K. Rupala, Union Minister of State for Agriculture and Farmers Welfare and Panchayati Raj. He in his address reaffirmed the belief in the cooperative model for development in view of the living success stories in India on how cooperatives have helped in better production and returns to produce from market through collective action. On this occasion, a statement was made by Shri Bala Subramanian G. Iyer, Regional Director, Asia and Pacific ICA, wherein he expressed concern on declining share of agricultural cooperatives in the trade and the need to frame appropriate measures to address this for sustainable development in the region. Managing Director NCDC as NEDAC Chairman stressed on the need for cooperatives to cooperative trade and capacity development partnership in NEDAC and suggested the General Assembly session to consider it in right earnest to provide more relevance to the functioning of NEDAC. Sir, the General Assembly during the 2 days deliberated upon the report of NEDAC activities and finances for the last 2 years period, NEDAC's revised constitution prepared by the subcommittee headed by the Mr. Orlando R. Ravanera, Chairman Cooperative Development Authority, Philippines, and Co-Chairman NEDAC. The Assembly also conducted elections for the new Executive Committee, besides sharing the best practices of the developmental institutions and cooperatives in India and China. The General Assembly saw adoption of new constitution of NEDAC and election of a new Executive Committee comprising of Managing Director NCDC as Chairman, Cooperative Development Authority Philippines as Co-Chairman, MD Nepal Cooperative Bank as Vice Chairman, Youth Cooperative Sri Lanka as Vice Chairman, Ministry of Rural Cooperative Economy, China, CD Thailand, NCI, IFCO, FISCOFED, EXCOM, Cooperative PDP as members for a term of 2 years period till 2020. The General Assembly session after due discussions also adopted the work plan for NEDAC activities for the next 2 years, 2019 and 20. A significant part of the deliberations of the General Assembly was geared towards paradigm shift for NEDAC from being knowledge sharing platform to mainstreaming of cooperatives to cooperatives trade, thereby to. So we have the privilege of having with us Shri B. Pradhan, Additional Secretary and Financial Advisor, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Government of India with us, who carries with him a vast experience of development initiatives in various capacities, in various ministries and departments, and he is now guiding the cooperative movement in India and NCDC to prepare strategy and roadmap to strengthen cooperatives and help them achieve greater heights. I would now request Shri Pradhanji to kindly address us on this occasion.
Our chief guest, Sri Dilip Sanghani, former Cooperation and Finance Minister Gujarat, Sri Sandeep Kumar Nayak, Managing Director NCDC and the Chairman of NEDAC, Mr. Orlando R. Ravanera, Chairman CTA Philippines and Co-Chairman of NEDAC, Honorable Members of the NEDAC, distinguished guests, delegates from the member countries, senior cooperative leaders, dignitaries, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I am extremely thankful and privileged to share my thoughts at the August gathering of the eminent members representing NEDAC General Assembly being hosted by the NCDC here in New Delhi. The Indian government attaches critical importance to the development of the farming sector and the rural. Yesterday, during the inaugural address, our Honorable Minister of State, Sri Purushottam Balaji, in his inaugural address has outlined the government's resolve to double the farmers' income with cooperative.
Shri Dilip Nanubhai Sanghani, Chairman NAPSCOP and Chairman Ujko Masal, has had a long and cherished association with cooperatives at all levels for almost 3 decades. He has been earlier Member of Parliament in the Central Government India and Minister of Agriculture, Cooperation, Law and Justice in one of the cooperatively prosperous state, the Gujarat, and had brought out pragmatic changes and led to the cooperative movement ably for a long time. Being a cooperator involved at ground level, even today, he is highly sensitive to the agonies of farmers and has been striving hard for their betterment. We would now request Honorable Shri Dilip Sanghani ji to kindly address us and formally conclude.
The General Assembly says of the NEDAC, I would like to first of all congratulate the new chairman Sandeep Kumar Nayak ji and his team. Yesterday, new formation and unanimous elect choose the new team. So, I'd like again congratulate. And today, our this August House in just few words say Mr. Pradhan Agriculture Sectors, the Secretary, Olegji Ravan, Co-Chairman from Philippines, this house is so many senior cooperative leaders, as utilized Edwin Aphe, Satyanarji NCI from Krima, also they spoke. Each every country for dignitaries. I think the organize of NEDAC General Assembly for giving me an opportunity to be part of this international forum. I am chairman of the two organizations. Just announced EXCOM and LAFED. Sorry, LAFED is a vice chairman and UTCOM. For the first time we are members from UTCOM in this organization. Like two organizations members as EXCOM and UTCOM. I am happy to part these 2 days brainstorming abilities and furnishing cooperative movement.
To conclude the proceedings, I would now request Shri Sandeep Kumar Naik, MD NCDC and the new chairman of the Executive Committee NEDAC, who has been leading and guiding NCDC on all fronts.
Namaskar. Honorable Sri Dilip Sanghani ji, Sri Pradhan ji, Mr. Orlando Navanera, co-chairman of NEDAC, Sri Cooperative ji, vice chair of NEDAC, Sri Mohammad Riaz, vice chair of NEDAC, all the members of the new executive committee and special invitee to the executive committee, MD NAPED, all the members of NEDAC, distinguished ladies and gentlemen who have come here as delegates from India and abroad, my colleagues in NCDC, members of the media, and my own colleagues from my personal staff in NCDC. It is indeed a great satisfaction for NEDAC that we have been able to cross a milestone through this General Assembly in New Delhi and embarked upon a new course of action. The biggest credit for embarking upon this new course of action I would give to our Chairman of the Board of Management of NCDC, Sri Sanjay Agrawal, Secretary Government of India. When we met him a couple of months back that this General Assembly of NEDAC is coming up, should we go ahead or not, he said that NCDC must put all its efforts to make it a success because it is India's image is involved, that if India is hosting a General Assembly, it should be one of the best. So this was under his guidance and leadership that we started working. So I believe that we have been able to conclude a reasonable General Assembly session thanks to everybody present here and who have worked behind the scenes to make it a success. My particular gratitude to Sri Dilip Sanghani ji for having agreed to be the chief guest of the closing session, closing ceremony of NEDAC. He has many engagements. He chairs the boards of so many organizations and also guides in other activities in his own constituency in Gujarat in the bigger forums. Despite that, he showed his commitment to NEDAC and he said that yes, I will be here. He has been here for last 2 days. And a big round of applause I will request all my colleagues to Sri Dilip Sanghani. Having said that, I would also thank the country representative of FAO, Mr. Tomio Shichiri. He has been here for last 2 days, participating in all our deliberations. Now I would also thank the distinguished experts who came and deliberated in the parallel sessions on different themes. That was a hallmark and a new trend that we had set in the NEDAC proceedings. I will also thank the distinguished experts who spoke on all these parallel sessions. Particularly present here is, I can see Ambassador Trigunayat is here. He addressed one of the sessions. Last but not the least, I would like to again thank all the members who came here, travelled from different locations to make the General Assembly a success, and we look forward to achieve all the tasks which have been set before us in due course of time and within the time frame which have been set before us. At the end, I'll thank the NEDAC Secretariat in Bangkok who have travelled here to provide all the assistance that we required to hold this General Assembly in India. Thank you everybody. Thank you cooperatives. Let us strengthen the cooperative movement and strengthen the hands of the cooperators. All the best.
That for now we use now we are in the technology economy. Now we choose strengthen our network of the website of the NEDAC to be the network for a platform for our members to share experience or exchange information in for the network of NEDAC. That is, we get closer together. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste. I think it's all of you already agreed. I'm completely also same idea how we can keep momentum. I think this is a key point. I think it's every 6 months. I think it's a wrap up and then review work plan, keep momentum instead of every 2 years. I think this is the key message. Thank you very much.
For EXCOM members, we should use mobile phone. Now I have WhatsApp. We can use application.
It's my honor to share the Chinese experience. Farmers Specialized Cooperative is one of the most important agricultural business entities in China at present. More and more farmers join cooperatives to obtain better production services and market bargaining positions. The Chinese government has done a great deal of work in developing farmers specialized cooperatives. First is special legislation. In 2007, the law of the People's Republic of China on farmers specialized cooperatives was implemented, granting cooperative legal business status and opening a period of rapid development of cooperatives for 11 years. In 2017, we completed the revision of the law, set up a special section for cooperatives, expanded the scope of cooperative business, and put more stringent requirements on the code of conduct of cooperatives. The new law came into effect in July this year. In addition, 19 provinces have introduced the local regulations. The second is to establish typical models. Since 2009, action has been taken to create demonstration farmers specialized cooperative with 4 levels of linkage at the national, provincial, regional, and county levels. At present, there are 180,000 demonstration farmers specialized cooperative at all levels in the country, including more than 6,000 national demonstration farmers specialized cooperatives. Recently, pilot projects have been launched to improve the quality of farmer specialized cooperatives throughout the country, focusing on the expansion of individual cooperatives, the cultivation and development of cooperative associations, and the strengthening of country guidance services. There are 30 pilot countries in the country. Certain policy support, financial support measures such as credit assessment, credit support, innovation products, and service methods have been formulated for professional cooperatives. Financial institutions are encouraged to provide concessional loans to cooperatives. We will encourage large industrial and commercial enterprises to link up with cooperatives and guide social forces to jointly develop farmers specialized cooperatives. Fourth, encourage innovation. We will guide farmers specialized cooperatives to form cooperative associations on the basis of vulnerable and mature benefits through joint investment, co-creation of brands, and sharing of benefits. Cooperatives are allowed to try cooperative finance, and some have expanded their internal credit cooperation business. Some cooperatives are starting to carry out mature insurance to help them solve financing bottlenecks and eliminate business risks. There have also been more innovation in the content of cooperation, such as the active development of land share cooperatives, the information of land stock cooperatives, and the formation of label cooperatives with supplies label after the land has been transferred. Farmers use either agricultural houses to develop rural tourism cooperatives, agriculture housing cooperatives, and property cooperatives. Fifth, training talents. We are supporting college graduates, returning peasant workers, and rural youth to develop agricultural business and innovation in the form of farmer specialized cooperatives. The agriculture and rural sectors at all levels had conducted specialized training for cooperative talents, set up training courses in science, and expanded training in commerce, the Internet of Things, and brand creation. These trainings had been broadened the perspective of cooperatives. Some universities had set up cooperative colleges or cooperative management directions to train cooperative professionals. In the future, we will continue to develop cooperatives, combine nominative construction with innovative development, improve support policies, and focus on demonstration, drive, and give full play to the role of farmer specialized cooperative in helping farmers and improve the quality of their work. We will continue to enhance the economy strength, vitality, and the driving power of farmers cooperatives. That's all. Thank you.
So we don't differentiate for providing any assistance to the societies, whether it is a primary or secondary or at the apex level. So all kinds of societies are being covered and touched by us. And there is no minimum and maximum capacity amount of financial assistance, so we have not fixed. It depends on the viability is the main criteria. Broadly, we have two types of schemes. The schemes we call as corporation sponsored scheme, another one is centrally sponsored scheme. The corporation sponsored schemes are the one which we fund our own resources. Centrally sponsored schemes are the one where some amount of government assistance is involved. And for the purpose of funding, we have dual funding channels. One is funding through the state governments and the funding directly, which fulfills our direct funding eligibility parameters. And we have pan-India presence, and we have to cater to the needs of every cooperative. We have a regional office, 18 regional offices spread across the country with a head office at Delhi.
Proper advice timely. Then एक national agroforestry policy was brought out in 2014 to have better integration of tree with crop and cropping systems. And India is the pioneer in having a national agroforestry policy, specific agroforestry policy. And then also for this to address the issue of crop residue in another policy, national policy for management of crop residue and advisory and policy document has also been established, has also been produced. And this is our organization, National Rainfed Area Authority, mainly to improve the productivity of agriculture system in rainfed areas on sustainable basis and to improve the incomes and welfare of rainfed farmers. Now we have been given the mandate to work more focusedly for the 150 most vulnerable districts in the country. As a group of secretaries, they have
what way the cooperatives can really help to achieve in the sustainable development goals and what is the important thing. Can we have the PPT please? As has been really already highlighted by Mr. Rath earlier and by Mr. Ashwani, that yes, there are the 17 SDGs. So we all know that the 17 SDGs have been already signed by the Government of India in September 2015, and they came into effect on 1st January 2016. These have been collated by the United Nations, and all the member countries have signed with the SDGs. They have all agreed that okay, collectively we'll work together, we'll try to achieve this goal by 2030. The SDGs are comprehensively cover and integrate the social, economic and environmental dimensions and build on the Millennium Development Goals, which we have already decided to achieve by 2015. There are 17 SDGs and associate 169 targets to address the whole gamut of the development. The SDGs are coherently focused on eradicating poverty in all its forms and dimensions, including extreme poverty, which is the greatest global challenge and indispensable for sustainable development. India is implementing a comprehensive development strategy to end poverty in all its forms. Important policy initiatives have been taken up, and a number of result-based and well-targeted programs and schemes are being executed. Across countries, about 1 billion people are involved in cooperatives in some way, either as members, customers, as employees, participants, or both. Cooperatives employ at least 100 million people worldwide. And it has been estimated that the livelihood of nearly half the world's population are secured by the cooperative enterprises. The world's 300 largest cooperative enterprises have collective revenue of around more than 12 lakh crore rupees. However, cooperatives and the cooperative movement as a whole have not been very active in the process of developing SDGs. This is in spite of the fact that the 2012 Rio Plus 20 United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development recognized the potential role of cooperative in the realization of sustainable development. This is perhaps due to the fact that cooperatives have remained very engaged on local issues and pursuit of the interests of their primary stakeholders. But it has been widely endorsed that cooperatives' active participation and contribution will pave the way for quick and effective achievement of SDG and associated targets. I would like to highlight some of these roles of the cooperative in India. The cooperative enterprise is the type of the organization that is the most suited to addressing all dimensions of reducing poverty and exclusion. The cooperative identify economic opportunities for their members, empower the disadvantaged to defend their interest, provide security to the poor by allowing them to convert individual risk into collective risk, and mediate members access to the assets that they utilize to earn a living.
Main subject is cooperative and sustainable development goals. Mr. Rath has told so many things, has brought so many issues, and also suggested so many ways, that means how to have better sustainable goals through cooperative. And Gaurji has also enumerated 17 goals and important goals. He has elaborately explained how to achieve the sustainable goals. Primarily, I'm an agriculturist and related to agricultural cooperation. So these things, our intention, mainly the agro-based cooperatives, our intention is to bring more and more agricultural families into cooperative sectors. I feel this also should be a goal, so that, because India, as all of us know, is mainly agricultural country, and motivation amongst agriculturists to get involved in cooperative sector is the real challenge and is the need of the day. So, my request is to start more and more agro-based cooperative institutions, so that most of the agriculturists come under the umbrella of cooperation. And another thing is, as rightly put by Mr. Rath, women empowerment. Many unidentified skills are there in the rural India. Those are to be identified, and motivation should be made to improve those skills, so that they can earn themselves more, and also it will increase per capita income of the country. That the most neglected area in the rural India is women empowerment and identifying the skills of the women. They can do a lot, but we have not captured those areas properly. It is my opinion. And one more thing is, the sustainable development is credit-linked cooperatives.
The sanitary conditions they impose, that okay, there is this thing is small or that thing is small, people fighting with that. But this happens, and that is what impacts the smaller farmers. So therefore, what we have to do is we have to try to create a pilot project to begin with at least, let's say, about 10 or 15 major cooperatives or mid-sized cooperatives who have significant quantities of A, B, C, D different products, and then try to work on it in exporting. Now the Indian missions, embassies can play a role because they are neutral bodies. For them it doesn't matter whether it is ABC exporter or it is a cooperative exporter. They will be able to provide that basic information. Apart from the C2C portal, like I said. So that is one thing in which we can try to work on this, start working on some kind of project, and then can be replicated if it is successful. Of course, you need there are something called export management companies also. They are professional companies or export trading companies. Now, they can work easily for anybody, provided you pay some 2 to 4% of the cost to keep themselves. They procure everything from you, and then they export. At a certain price, they give it to you. So for the farmers or for the cooperatives, it is simpler, easier, and for them, just my goods are taken, it's like a domestic sale. So you have given your stuff, you get your money, it gets directly credited to you, you don't have a problem, you don't get into trade disputes, and you don't have to wait for the funds to be available. If that is which is the cost efficient model that most of the companies use in that, and cooperatives can easily do that at a very fraction of the cost. It's not so much. They pick up the stuff even from your store or mandi or the house or wherever it is available. So that is another model that can be. Third thing is that we have to have a continuous monitoring mechanism. That has to be created. Now, we were talking about the skill development. The skill development has to be not from, it is already there. The farmers, they are farming, the better practices are being introduced. They are being provided with all kinds of inputs that are required. Modern agricultural practices are being conducted mostly in different places where if that is a different domain. Now when you are picking up, I read somewhere a few years ago that we are the largest, second largest or largest fruit and vegetable producing country. And almost 40 to 45% were being wasted, was not being processed. So food processing has been a bigger problem for us. Now that was one thing. We also have a Ministry of Food Processing in the center. And every state has some kind of industry push for it. Is it not possible to create, through the cooperatives themselves, through the funding from organizations like the CDC and others, food processing units, and that the processed food can be exported because that has a longer shelf life. It is so much easier rather than the fresh fruits and vegetables. When I tried to export mangoes, introduce mangoes in Sweden when I was posted there, so I came to the Commerce Ministry. The fellow who retired as Commerce Secretary, Mr. Rahul Kulla, was the Joint Secretary, and there is APIDA is an organization that deals with these kind of food products. So I came to them, I said, let's introduce it. We need to promote what we have. Very often what happens is we have been lacking in promoting ourselves abroad. So till you show somebody, and when you go to the markets there, you will pick up, and if you travel to some of these countries, you will find that they get the mangoes are like stones. And they've not even heard of also Indian mango or something like that. So I went around, there were some Indian or Pakistani shops. They used to get a little bit of a quantity and were selling. So I said, why don't we do it? And they, so they have this very huge cooperative called Consom. So I went to them and I told them, I said, look, we would like to introduce our mango. Well, how can we help? We have to sell the things. And if it sells, you get it. Otherwise, you bring it and sell it here. So that doesn't work. And then I met this Pakistani man who was importing these some fruits. So, and he was the only one. So I asked him, I said, why don't you buy something from India? Because we supply mangoes throughout the year, different parts of India. He said, how visa nahi denge mujhe? So how can I do business? I said, okay, I'll ensure that you get the visa and you go and explore in Maharashtra at that time. I said, go to Bombay, I'll send you and we arrange the visit to the biggest mandi and all that. And then he says, I'll have to bring it via Amsterdam. So it will be very costly. Like we are selling all the fruits, all the flowers that go from India go to Amsterdam first in the European market. So everything goes there. I said, okay, let's try to do something different in this case. Because I was desperate to do something, some quick introduction. So I told them, I said, there's a lot of people are going by the chartered flights to Goa. Now, chartered flights, by their very charter and the approvals, cannot carry cargo, right? So that was the only catch. So I asked them, I said, should we work on this? Would you like to bring it by cargo? Yes. So I talked to the company which was doing the cargo. I said, you'd be interested, but you have to give us 1/10 of the cost, normal. You are bringing an empty plane, so you will get this cargo. So they give you a revenue. The choice is yours. They agreed to do that. And then we took over the DGCA, got a special approval, that was introduced. Only thing I had asked them is, because the Commerce Ministry, I am telling you from our perspective that how difficult it is to promote it. The Commerce Ministry would give you, let's say, to promote something, 1 lakh rupees, maximum. That's your trade promotion budget. Now with 1 lakh rupees, in such countries, you can't even buy anything. Forget about thinking of it. Even if you put an insert in the newspaper, you'll end up paying 60,000, 70,000 rupees just for one single insert. It's not possible. So you need a private enterprise. So it's a public-private partnership. So I told him, I said, one container, load, I will need it for promotion. And rest is up to you. If it works, it works. So he agreed, a unanimous man. And you will not believe it, that it's a small city, but in different places, the railway stations here and there, we just put people with the colorful dresses and everything, and they were freely distributing the mangoes. Within a very short time, not only the mangoes, the anar pomegranate from India, they all started importing the grapes and all. So this is what Indian wine we introduced. So it is possible to do things, but for us, from the embassy point of view, I can tell you, it's not important from who is the supplier. From our point of view, it's important that the product is valid and ethical. Today, things are much different. I mean, the missions do have good publicity budgets, and so they can help us much more. So in case this model works out, and if the General Assembly there in the NEDAC approves this particular model of C2C trade through a digital format, which the proposal is that it could be made as a portal which can be managed by the NCDC, and all sides can pitch in their requirements, and then the one side can provide it, and then the direct collaboration. A lot of work requires to be done. It sounds very
simple and transparent. We make, in our anxiety to make it absolutely good, we make it so complicated that we are losing track of the main subject, and the poor fellow who has hardly read has no access to know the intricacies of this, and he has no voice to tell. So the challenges are many in the financial inclusion, but the way we are progressing in starting from Jan Dhan Yojana to Atal Pension Yojana and I'm not talking about any government. The previous government had its own scheme, the current government has its own scheme, but the emphasis is now financial inclusion. It is moving in a direction where, if not today, tomorrow we will achieve our objective. But you people have a far bigger role in an apex organization like NCDC, where the connect between the financial inclusion and the cooperative movement in this country is more intense, is far more intense. Now, before I start the connect, let me at the outset tell you that our general level of financial management or mismanagement is so high that today you and your banks are suffering so badly. Now, I am not blaming the bankers, I am not, of course I can blame Nirav Modi and Vijay Mallya, that's another aspect. But I am saying that in general, majority of our organization, whether it is a non-cooperative or cooperative, suffers from poor governance. And the basic understanding of the financial management is so low that we don't know the organization in which we work. We have no ability to understand the financial statements. We have no ability to know which direction the economy is moving, what impact the economy is going to have on our system is not known.
So a member of our executive council of LINAC. He is also a chartered accountant. That is one common thing with, among the speakers. Both are chartered accountants. He is expert in corporate finance and strategic management. He has worked in power, steel, mining, railways and metal industry. He also worked as chairman and MD of NALCO, a Navratan PSU public sector undertaking. He is also a social reformer. Presently, Sri Bagraji is the CEO of Ekal Movement, a social reforming movement which is providing education to running rather than schools in 80,000 villages. This organization also working on the projects for organic farming, health and skill development. He has also worked in Africa for more than 10 years. And sir, as you know, talk is on this cooperatives and financial inclusion. So over to Sri Bagraji.
Thank you, Asmini. Namaste to all of you. Now, the session just before lunch or immediately after lunch, there are very challenging sessions, relatively. Nevertheless, I will try to keep it least dry. Friends, you all are loyal of cooperative movement, know in and out of the cooperative. So, speakers like me or Rajiv, we both bring an external perspective to the whole issue. We are not experts. I had little bit of working relationship with cooperative for a couple of years when I was MD of State Seed Corporation close to 40 years ago. Barring that, not much of working experience with the cooperative, but finance has been our subject, academic as well as working subject. And whatever is happening in the economy, in India or even global, where everybody is in the rat race of comparing GDP growth rates. Now, the issue of financial inclusion and the role of cooperative movement in India particularly, these are not a recent origin issue. These is both the issues, financial inclusion and the cooperative role, both have been there for last 4 or 5 decades in different formats. Then the verbs, the definitions, etc. have been changing over the time, but they have been there with us in India. Friends, if we start from the need for financial inclusion, I think the theory is fully known to all of you better than what I can propagate. The issue is the growth rate of any economy decides the size of the cake, but its distribution is equally or maybe sometimes when the inequalities are galore, more important than the size of the growth rate itself. An economy may be growing at 8, 9 or even double-digit rate, but if the distribution is too much unequal, it's a matter of time that we are inviting disasters. And that is the problem of India. We have been growing at fairly good rate of growth. The rate of growth is not mean by any standard. If we compare with any global economy of our size, forget the small, tiny oil-producing countries, but otherwise with our size of economy of 15, 20, we continue to be in the number 1 or number 2 for last 2 decades, irrespective of the governments which come and go with their policies. So the growth rate is not an issue. We are becoming richer. The country is becoming richer. The issue is who is reaping the benefits of it. And that is what brings us to the issue of the financial inclusion. There has been a term of inclusive growth in air for last two terms of parliament, inclusive growth. And that inclusive growth basically means the distribution of the growth this economy has been accruing and earning. And how do we do it?